right, welcome back to another episode of the Couch Coaches podcast. We are back. We have not been back since June, which means it is football season, and Raiders fans and Niners fans were all very excited because our teams won and looked good. But the biggest news of the day is obviously Aaron Rodgers, 4 plays into his Jet career, popped his Achilles completely, and he is done for the year. People are speculating with his age. Will he come back? Were you guys watching the game last night when it happened?
Yep. Yeah.
It was, and then they ended up winning the game, which I thought was cool. I mean, granted, Josh Allen wanted to do everything he possibly could to help them win the game, but they did end up winning the game, and it really had nothing to do with their offense. But they have a really good defense and obviously a really good punt returner, because that was about as exciting as it gets for how horrible that game started. Question about Josh Allen. So Josh Allen he's pretty local to San Jose, he's from Firebaugh, which is between here and Modesto, which is basically nowhere. But I thought that's pretty cool that this big dude that's one of the top QBs is from an area in the middle of nowhere out here. Question: is Josh Allen the new Brett Favre?
If by the new Brett Favre you mean either feast or famine, yes, from the standpoint of it's like high risk, high reward. But I put yesterday's loss as much on the team, the offensive coordinator, as I do Josh Allen, because as soon as Aaron Rodgers went down, to me, it was a Bills game to lose. Josh Allen didn't have to win that game.
Right.
Because who was the quarterback for the Jets?
Right. The kid, the BYU
kid. Yeah, Zach Wilson. So if you're telling me that Josh Allen still turns the ball over 4 times, knowing that all they have to do is just take care of the ball, and Zach Wilson wasn't going to beat them. So the short answer is yes, in the standpoint, yes, it's like Favre in that, high risk, high reward. But if he's there, he's getting too many carries at quarterback. They're running too many running plays for him. It doesn't work in the NFL. So I put that loss as much on the offensive coordinator. And even if they didn't score, they should have been able to win with 20 points.
Yeah, Deacon Greg.
Because Jets had done nothing up until the last drive.
Yeah, well, as far as is he the new Brett Favre, I don't know. Brett Favre won a Super Bowl. Brett Favre is in the Hall of Fame, and Brett Favre, I think, was more of. I mean, he led the league in interceptions and things like that, but he was a gunslinger. This guy here is reckless, really reckless. Like you said, the passes that he was throwing out, one time he just threw it right down the middle in double coverage. I don't know what he was looking at or what he thought he saw, and just threw the ball up there. So I just think that he was one of the quarterbacks that got a lot of money this offseason. Did he get paid?
No, he's been paid though.
Oh, he's been paid. Yeah. I just think these quarterbacks seem like they just believe their own hype. They think they can do anything, and I don't compare him to Brett Favre in that sense. I just think he just think that he. Bill said it was an offensive coordinator. I still think it's the quarterback that makes it. You're the one. The coordinator can draw the play up and tell you what to do, but you got to make the decision. So either you're overconfident, and he likes to take off running all the time, and then he don't want to get down either. He wants to take, So
did you see him try to jump up and over? Like it wasn't a slide. He tried to jump over the linebacker. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So those are his decisions, So I don't put it all on the offensive coordinator. If you're this high-paid quarterback and supposed to be the next best thing, you're supposed to be out there you're supposed to be able to make plays. You should make those plays.
Yeah, I think it just shows how bad your power. Your lights just go out.
Sure did. Hold on.
There you go. So since Daboll, I heard this stat today. Since Brian Daboll, who's obviously a fantastic offensive coordinator, since he left the Bills, which is right the time he got paid was when he lost his OC, he basically turns the ball over 2 times a game. That's his average, is 2 times a game. That's terrible. That is terrible. And I do think he's a dude that can get in his own way, kind of the way Favre did, because Favre was reckless, but he was like, at least he was just throwing reckless. Josh Allen is throwing reckless and running reckless and not sliding reckless and trying to take on a linebacker. I mean, he's every other element of reckless. But when Favre had the right coach in Holmgren, and somehow when he had the right coach with Dallas head coach, I'm blanking.
Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, with McCarthy, like he kind of toned it down, and then that was when he was really successful. I feel like I don't know how the offensive coordinator for the Bills lasted to this season. Especially when they had a running issue with their run game, and you had a guy like Greg Roman available that you could have brought in. That's what he does. He works with running quarterbacks. Cap was a absolute nightmare that first season when he first came in, because he had figured out a way to utilize his skills that just you could not handle him until at least you had some tape. Lamar Jackson did not look fantastic yesterday. But he looked much better than anybody expected, except for the Ravens, the last few seasons with Greg Roman. How this dude is just out there when you have a running quarterback that's playing terrible and you don't bring him in. I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Well,
but sorry.
I was going to say, the Bills threw the ball 41 times. They ran the ball 22. In the NFL, week 1 or week 18, that will almost always get you beat. Defense is just too good. And if you don't stay balanced, these defense is just too good. And they went up against a division rival in the Jets, and you saw what their defense did to them. That's why I put this on the OC as much as I do the quarterback. They didn't run the ball enough for me.
But did Allen switch out of run plays, 1 and 2? The run play to pass play differential is as if they were losing, but they were winning.
That's my point. And Zach Wilson is on the other side. Yeah, run the ball, man.
So speaking of Lamar and speaking of Jones with the coach, we have 4 quarterbacks. 2 got signed pretty easily. 2 got signed. There was a lot of drama. I mean, obviously a ton of drama around Lamar. There was a little bit of drama around Jones, but they all got paid a lot of money, and they all looked bad yesterday. Burrow had his work. Did he throw 80 yards or something? He threw
82. 81, 82 yards for the whole game.
Yeah.
Lamar didn't throw well. Herbert played okay, but he lost, and I blame his coach because his coach is terrible. And then Daniel Jones scored 0 points, so he obviously didn't have a very good game. Do you think any of those teams are regretting those signings?
I think it's too early to tell, because it's just week 1. I mean, and I think teams' character will show itself to me at midseason. It's almost like halftime in a basketball game. You know, you make second half adjustments, half the season, but teams will figure out who they are, their identity, by the middle of the season, if not sooner. 1 game, too early to tell. It was shocking that they all played well below their ability based on, I mean, they're all veteran quarterbacks, and that to me was what was surprising. I mean, with or without the big contracts, like you just expect more. I mean, Burrows was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but granted,
championship game last year,
yeah. So that to me is what was surprising, is just their performance for veterans.
Like you said, I wouldn't be worried about it, because of course they don't even play the veterans in preseason. How many snaps have they had running with the first team offense at full speed like they're doing? So, I wouldn't put too much emphasis on that first game, even the first 2 games. Around game 3, you'll kind of see what's going on with the quarterback. I wouldn't worry about any of those guys really, but I do kind of think that they kind of like, believe in their own hype, right? I'm the big guy and blah, 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 and going out and trying to be Mr. Cool or whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. All these teams haven't even been playing, their starters throughout the preseason and stuff. So they still just getting gelled together and stuff. I don't think it's a big deal, but yeah, I think they kind of feeling themselves for all this money they got though.
But it could be so is it that they're feeling themselves, or is it that they have all the pressure because they're getting $60 million now? Because I know Jimmy G, when we first got him, he came in hot. Like we sucked, and he came in and he won those last 5 games, signed a big contract, and then it seemed to play tighter at the beginning of the following season. And I'm wondering if there's oh man, I have to earn. What's the guy? The baseball player just did that. Trey Turner signed massive contract with the Phillies or whatever. And it's just like, I think there's something with it where you go one way or the other. You're either cool, you're comfortable, oh, I got paid, or you kind of tighten up because it's like, okay, I really have to like earn, especially in a sport like football where it's a hard cap and you're taking up a certain percentage of the team budget. And I don't know.
I just think that, like, these guys are like you said with Burrow, they're proven. They're, and Lamar, you already know what they are. So yeah, it's just going to take time just for them to just get back, relax, and everything. Maybe they were pressing a little hard because of the contracts in this first game or whatever, and because they haven't played with their the starters and stuff like that. But I wouldn't put much emphasis on none of that because they already proven talents anyway. They'll get there.
Yeah.
At least go ahead.
One thing I saw that came up today, and I'm just wondering how old he has to be so this can stop coming up. But Jamel Hill was like, hey, you got a quarterback in New Jersey sitting there that hasn't played in 7 years. Maybe you should give Cap a call. How old does Kaepernick have to be before we stop throwing his name out there every time a quarterback goes down? Does he have to be? He's 36. What is he like? When he hits 40, can we stop bringing his name up for coming in and filling in for a quarterback?
They were bringing up every name. RG3's name came up.
He brought himself up. I will say that.
He goes, I'm available. Yeah.
No kidding, RG.
Brady, they had Brady and everybody, they're trying to bring everybody up. So what the heck?
If I were the Jets, because Wilson's your guy. Like, you want to bring in a veteran for like support and stuff. If I were going to bring in a veteran, and it's not somebody that you'd have to worry about taking the job from Wilson, I would get Alex Smith to unretire because of his leadership. Because of his, he was out. He didn't play last year, right? And he doesn't do anything. I mean, he dinks and dunks. He can dink and dunk.
Joe, but why did you say not to bring in anybody? If they bring in somebody, they want him to replace Wilson.
They don't. No. But okay. At least what they said was they don't want to bring in somebody. They want to bring in a veteran to back up Wilson. That's what they said.
Ooh.
Granted, I think it's gonna be Rivers. I don't know who. I don't know who they're gonna bring in. Carson Wentz, he's available. I don't know. Brady. It's not gonna be Brady.
If the Jets make a move at quarterback, they should be making that move to replace Zach Wilson. Because why bring someone else in? If for that matter, you can bring up. I know you don't have a D League, and I don't know who their backup quarterback is. As a matter of fact, I think last night they mentioned they only had 2 quarterbacks. They didn't activate that emergency quarterback. Right. So one of the receivers, or I think a running back, would have had to have been quarterback. Yeah. So to me, that's a bigger issue for me. But I mean, if they're going to ride with Zach Wilson and just lean on that defense and make some adjustments, more power to them. But if they're going to go out, one thing I did hear interesting this morning on First Take, ESPN First Take, was to talk about Matthew Stafford. Would they be willing to offer enough picks to the Rams, whose season could go either way, right? Either have already written it off because Cooper Kupp is gone, and then they say, well, now let's kind of look to the future. Bringing in Stafford, to me, of all the quarterback options, that to me would make the best sense for the Jets if they're trying to win this year.
The Rams looked really good on Sunday because they're running the Niners offense because they got LaFleur, which they like. My brother-in-law is from Seattle, diehard. He's so pissed. He was pissed the next day they played so bad. They got 12 yards in the second half.
Seattle
12 yards of offense in the second half.
Wow.
I made sure, hey, because he's like, we only got 3 yards. I'm like, that's impossible. I'm like, don't worry. The next day, I'm like, don't worry. It wasn't that bad. You guys got 12. It's okay. All right. So our teams had great Sundays. Deacon Greg, thoughts on your Raiders taking out division rival Broncos and absolutely ruining Sean Payton's day and Reverend Chris's day?
Okay, before I comment on my Raiders, I'm going to do something I have never done, and you might not ever hear it again. Your Niners look good. I'm going to take my hats off to the Niners. They look really good, and I know it's early, but I'm gonna. They look like the best team in football. They do. I'm so and this coming from a Raider fan. So
I agree.
That's enough of that.
Totally agree with you. I'm gonna
better than the Cowboys.
That offense, you guys' offense is like it's crazy. You
Yeah,
know,
Dak only threw for like 130 yards. Their offense didn't do anything.
Your offense and your defense together, man. That I was impressed. That I know. I'll give credit what credit is due. I don't like the Niners, but you know they look really good. Anyway, back to the Raiders. My Raiders. You know, even a lot of Raider fans are like they're crazy. They're like, oh, we barely won. We did this and we did that. Look, we played a divisional rival team on the road opening day, and we got a W. And you know, I'm very satisfied. Of course we have a lot of room for improvement. You know, defense was making some silly mistakes. The corners were giving up some pass plays, but in the end they only gave up 16 points, and they walk away with a victory. I'd like to see a little bit more out of Jimmy G. I love his leadership. I love his his poise and of course at the end how he ran the ball and got that first down to kill the clock. I love that part. But his ball looks like it's a little bit slow to me right now. It looks like he ain't got enough zip on that ball. You know, I never really, of course, when he played for the Niners, I didn't watch him that much, but I thought he had a little bit more zip than what I saw on opening day. But I still love his leadership and he don't panic in the pocket and stuff like that. So I think we're going to be all right. We got work to do, but I think the Raiders are going to be all right. But again, your Niners are looking good right now. So, but I think my Raiders are going to be all right.
Yeah, I think being able to shut down, considering your guys' weakness last year was your defense, and the Broncos' strength this year, I mean, you would hope with Peyton would be the offense. The fact that they couldn't figure out how to get down the field and kick a field goal. I mean, it was like a 3-and-out too, wasn't it, at the end?
Yeah.
I think it's really good, and I do think Jimmy G looked solid. You guys obviously have a ton of offensive weapons. Are you guys going to use Renfro because I would thought he would have been.
Well,
perfect.
They said they were bracketing him, and they took him and Adams. They designed their defense to take him and Adams out of the. That's why Jacoby was getting open like that and everything. So
okay,
they designed they schemed against those guys. But like I said, I think overall we'll be all right. The running game, Jacobs, he needs a little bit more. He's been out, so he needs a little bit more, back. But I like my Raiders. I like where we're headed, the direction we're headed, and I think we're going to be all right.
What do you guys have this week?
We have the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo.
That'll be interesting because they're responding to this trash that they put out.
that's what the Raider fans. Oh, they're going to be mad. They're going to take it out on us. Well, we're going to see.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they may be mad, but that doesn't mean. I mean, if Allen's still a spaz, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, Brother Bill, thoughts on our San Francisco / Santa Clara 49ers?
Well, I got to return the favor to Deacon Greg and give a shout out, a positive vibe to the Raiders. Just looking at the stats, they lost a turnover battle. They were even on first downs, had more yards passing, but only 61 yards rushing. And yet they still won the game. They ran the ball 29 times. And I was saying before the season started, Josh Jacobs is the key to that offense. As good as solid as Jimmy G is going to play, I think the wins and the trenches are going to go through Josh Jacobs running the ball.
Well, like you said, Bill, but there's one thing. Sorry about that, cutting you off, but like you said, it has to be a balanced attack. So I think Jimmy G is going to make key contribution at times, but it's going to have to be a balanced attack. It ain't going to be either or.
Yep. So Niners, the score shocked me because I believe that we were going to be able to put up some points early, but I was going to be concerned now. What about the second half? Because under Kyle Shanahan, we've had a tendency to get off to good leads, but then all of a sudden, second half, there were some games where we scored maybe only 6 points or 10 points the whole second half. So the fact that I think we scored on 6 drives, and a couple of those were aided by turnovers in short fields, but from that first drive and then going into the second half, the defense set the tone for that game out of the gate. That hit that Fred Warner put on who's the running back for the Steelers? I mean, he lit him up like
Najee.
it was Christmas.
Najee Harris.
Najee Harris. After that, Harrison wanted to go through the rest of the game. That set the tone for the whole game. And so Niners look good against a team that I believe they should have beat. It was going to be tough. We'll see if they back it up against the Rams next week. I don't want them to get so happy celebrate on the plane they forget they got to play the Rams on Sunday.
Hey, and let me say this: Purdy looked pretty good. That I was skeptical. I was telling Joe, I was thinking I didn't know what the arm was going to look like, but hey, he was throwing the ball, so we'll see.
McCaffrey's the key to that offense. Purdy is the leader, but McCaffrey's the key.
You got to have that pass also, brother.
No, I agree. I'm just saying that because if they take away the Niners' running game, then make Brock have to, that's when it gets tough. Because I'm still concerned about the right line. I mean, what's the name? Starts with C. The right tackle who replaced McGlinchey.
He's like the new McGlinchey. Does the same
He was
thing.
getting beat.
He does the same thing, but he's cheaper.
Now, granted, it was TJ Watt. I mean,
Right.
So to be fair, right? But I mean, if I'm a defense, I'm like, okay, I think I see a weak link on that O line, and that's the O line's right side.
Yeah, I was one thing about like Kyle's Niners we're almost kind of like the Patriots when the Patriots were humming. Like we don't start season strong. We're humming by December, which is why we do well if we make it into the playoffs.
Right.
And to come out, because I was worried about that. I thought the game was going to be like 12-9, 10-13, something like that. And to come out against that defense, who they're going to play hard, and to just go down the field and score, I was like, oh. I was checking my phone, I'm like, oh, it's so good. Thank God. And then they kind of kept going. And for them not to be able to adjust, like the Steelers offense it's not good. But the fact that we were able to, like, especially in the first half, just kind of move the ball against the defense, I thought was huge. And I know we usually play well against the Rams, so I'm not overly concerned about this weekend, but the Rams do have a different offense now, at least with the running game. And it's our offense. So hopefully we'll be able to defend it pretty well. But I'm ecstatic. I haven't felt this happy since, or like going, man, we're really good since we played. It was Cap's first full season, and we played the Packers the first game, and we just absolutely annihilated them. It's like, oh my God, are we this good? And we were not, but it felt good. If any surprises this weekend, Deacon Greg, biggest surprises, good or bad?
Well, the biggest surprise was Minnesota losing. And Minnesota getting whooped. And you know what? And Tua looking as good as he did. Him and Tyreek hooking up like that. So that was pretty amazing.
Brother Bill.
Yeah, I'm looking at the scores. Aside from last night's game, the fact that the Bills had no business losing that game, I think the game that I didn't see coming, I would agree with the Vikings at home against the Bucks. With the quarterback for the Bucks, I mean, I have to look at the box score just to Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
That can't happen.
It not happen. It not happen.
You can't start off your season letting a guy like, I mean, and I'm not throwing shade on him. I mean, he's a tier 2, almost tier 3 quarterback. I mean, that just can't happen. So
that was a huge. I was shocked with that.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I can't believe the Giants got run over the way they did. Like, I know, and Dallas is such a weird team, and I've been thinking about this for 2 days. What type of team or what's like an analogy for Dallas? It's like anybody that's worse than them, they can absolutely just demolish them. Anybody better than them, they lose. I don't. It's just it's so weird. Like, they don't struggle at all with the teams that they have better players than. But man, they cannot put it together if a team, they cannot get, and maybe it's a coaching thing, I don't know. But I mean, I'm texting all my buddies that are friends with the Giants or fans of the Giants. I'm like, what are you guys doing? You guys are getting mowed over.
I think a lot of that is starts with Dak. Dak, to me, oh man, he's not the quarterback that's going to get you. Like say, if playing with a lead, playing against inferior teams, he's comfortable. But when the pressure's on him to really make plays and stuff like that, when have you seen him really like actually make a play to come? He's almost like to me, he shot puts the ball when he throws it. His arm is like a crazy release, like a shot put. And then he's not, for a guy that's supposed to be athletic and stuff, he don't make enough plays, with his legs and stuff. So I think whenever the pressure's on, when he's playing against a good team, I think it's more on him and he, the defense is always solid.
Yeah, defense is a load to handle. One thing, the first thing I thought about when we signed Bosa to that massive contract is now Jerry's got to pay a massive contract to Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
That works for me. Last before we get out of here, thoughts on the US Open, switching sports.
Men and women's both, it was from the early rounds all the way up to the championship. It was some great tennis. I thought that on the men's side, between Tiafoe and the guy who beat him, came out of Atlanta, Sheldon. Oh, I think I'm getting his name wrong. Right, Sheldon? Yeah. I didn't see that. I thought that was going to be a good match, but man, Sheldon, he showed me something. I called my sister who lives out in Atlanta. I said, what are y'all putting in the, Atlanta, that red clay down there? Because you got some ballers coming out of there playing tennis out of ATL. So I thought that was good. All the way to the final. Medvedev, I thought somehow he's going to find a way to pull the upset as Djokovic. Just didn't happen. On the women's side, Coco Gauff, I saw that coming her first year, that she had the potential to have a deep run and a shot at a slam, even when she lost Wimbledon, or was it the French? I think 2 years ago.
She's 19.
19, yeah.
I feel like when they said she was 19, I was like, she's been around forever. I mean, she was in an ESPN. Remember the Peyton Manning did a commercial where he was running audibles like 4 years ago, and he's like Coco Gauff.
Right, yeah.
That blows my mind. Like these players that are playing adults, top tier, the best in the world, and they're 17 and going to Wimbledon finals and winning the US Open. It blows my mind.
Yeah, like you said, I did watch the women's finals, and she was so dominant. That's what blew my mind. And like I said, 19 years old, and as mature as she was, and the way she actually was, those shots were like some dominant shots that she was hitting. So yeah, I just take my hat off to her. That was a great win. So yeah, I love it.
Good stuff. All right, you guys. Welcome back. Pleasure to be with you guys. Excited for the next week and see what happens with more football. And hopefully we're both happy again when we come back next Tuesday.
Circle October 8th when the Cowboys come. Both the Cowboys Niners could be undefeated. We'll see. The Cowboys have an easier road to get there. I've looked at their schedule. They should beat every game going into that game against the Niners when they come here.
Bill, let's just take it 1 week at a time, okay? Don't be jumping way down there, okay?
I just said circle. I didn't say look ahead. I just said circle. That's all.
You know what I'm talking about? Undefeated and all that? No.
Okay, it's okay.
Next week.
My phone was blowing up with Cowboys people going, we're going to get you the 8th. We're going to get you the 8th. Okay, we'll see. We've taken you out of the playoffs 2 years in a row. Right.
As long as they got Dak a quarterback, then they got a shot to somehow lose the game.
We got 9-7 coming in to get Dak. I'm cool. I'm good. Yeah, there we go.
Who's that? Is that Charles Woodson? 24?
Who's that?
Oh, Marshawn.
Oh, Marshawn Lynch. Isn't he selling cars? Isn't he selling cars up at Hayward?
Maybe. You go get one.
I would 100% buy a car from Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch is awesome. I go to his soccer team's game. Oh, he's a stud. All right, guys. Thank you very much. See you guys next week.
All right, see ya.
All right, take care.
Niners.